Are we alive? Are we here? Is it Friday night? Time to rock, people. It is time for us to get down to the ground, all the way down, and immerse ourselves in rockitude. And so, welcome in tonight to the Friday Night Live. It's so good to see you all. I've been waiting all week for Friday. How about you guys? It's good to see you, Chris. Boop. And Manny, thanks for swinging in early with enthusiasm. He was coming in hot. I have to say, Boot, the spicy ghost, also very hot. Good to see you tonight. We've got Allison, one of our trusty rusty wrenches, here in the house, picking and a grinning, I hope. And there I am, all immersed in the ridiculousness of the cabochons. That's our subject for tonight. It seems like it's been our subject for a few of these latest and greatest Friday Night Lives, but can you blame us? It's studio season, just like our friend Allison was saying. It's studio season. And so we're paying attention to what the heck we do with our rocks. And you guys know that I got a cab machine. So this is the regular evolution of things, I think. So howdy to you all. Patricia's Creations, thank you for coming. Blind Squirrel Rocks, just a swooped, a flying squirrel swooped into the house. And Bob's Rocks is here as well. And we've got 5x5. Number 5 is alive. That's right. I love it. We're feeling spunky, guys. We're all full of enthusiasm this Friday evening. It's because we have so many cool things going on tonight. And among those things, we've got some surprise guests. Maybe not so much of a surprise, but we have guests. And we'll be chit-chatting on our favorite theme. We've got a stack of eye candy. And we would love for those of you who are jaunting around in Rockland, the desert known as Tucson. We would love to hear from you guys and hear how that show is going for you. Eric the Cat is here, as well as Val. And thank you so much, Val, for contacting me. I'm very excited about your message. Didn't have a chance to pick it up before the live stream tonight, but I most certainly have something to look forward to afterwards. And let's see, I saw some others. Rexa Tryon, Sharon and Jackson is here saying hello, and we'll take that down. Phil Stover's here. Good to see you. Mr. Turtle Montana is having cabber withdrawals, and yet, Turtle, I saw your post in the Discord earlier, and it looks like you're collecting some stuff that you should be pretty excited about. So sure, we're missing your cabber as well. But the next time that we have one of our Maker Studio hangouts for watching people work, it will be such a pleasure to watch you working on that material. I think we're all looking forward to that. And speaking thereof, we should be having another one of those studio lives very, very soon. So keep an eye open for that. I'm going to be chatting with everybody and seeing when we can slide on into our studios and get some work done. La Croissant Volpara Volpecula Alchemist is here this evening. Good to see you. I said hi earlier as well. And I'm hoping that somebody sent a link to my mom. Yeah, that UV was insanity. I mean, that was a great little video that you posted. I hope that you're working on some for your channel. Inquiry minds want to know when that might happen. We would love to see more. And so tonight we, like I said, are going to be looking at eye candy. We're going to be looking at cabochons. We're going to be looking at the winner of our cabochon contest and what we're doing next month, or this month. It is next month. This month is next month already. I'm just getting here. Um, even though we're a whole week into it. So we've got a Cabochon contest going on over at the Discord. We're going to be talking about that tonight. If one of y'all wrenches in there, I know Allison is here, Lisa's a wrench, Ken is a wrench, Jeff is a wrench, Mutt is a wrench. Did I get everybody? Did I say Lisa? I'll see Lisa again. So if somebody wants to share the Discord, Addie, if you've got it on hand, that would be awesome. And otherwise, what we'll do is, yeah, no worries about your name. So we are going to, wow, and for some reason I can't. Oh, there we go. We're going to be talking about those things, the contests that we've got going on for the Discord. We have some cabochons to look at from some rough that I've been working on, and then we also have this box that's hanging out over here past my light that I just bumped. That is from Ben over on the Discord, and I did get some really super fun rocks from him, the Flint, to work with, which you will be able to see some of this evening as well. We'll do the rest of the unboxing. I had the self-control to get through the top of the box, and then I couldn't wait any longer from the material at the top of the box. I literally ran over to the cab machine and started cabbing from it. And so we'll get to find out what else is in my box together, and we'll see what I'll be working on the cab machine later on this evening, because that stuff has just been shouting, just screaming at me like, cab me. And I would like to hear all of y'all, what your experiences are with your cab projects and whatever's going on in your studio, since it is that winter studio season, as I was saying a little earlier, and Allison did tell us about. And there's the Discord link. Thank you so much, Allison. There's a lag in between what happens in the chat and what happens on my screen, so forgive me if I'm a little late to some of the parties. And Kurt is in the house. Very, very good to see you, Kurt. And I think that Rufotra's Rooted Rockhound just got here. He's one of our wrenches as well. And Rufo, are you in Tucson? It would be cool to hear what is going on so far for your adventures. And I know you've been traveling at the very least, so it'll be fun. Oh my gosh. And here's a bit of a heartache right here. My lapidary stuff is all frozen right now. Hopefully I will have time to come spring thaw. Oh dear. Sometime come spring thaw. Yeah. Get the emphasis right when you're reading. And so, Eric, I do hope that you thaw out. I know that Ryan was talking about going out and trying to get some of his lapidary done, and that it was going to be at least not freezing to the extent that he couldn't get out there. So I know some of you guys do have some issues getting out to your studios. And on that note, before we bring in our guest tonight, I did want to say that for the member side of the channel, tonight I'm going to be dropping a little slab video. It's been a minute since I've been uploading to the member side, and so I want to make you guys, like, give you a little gift of some stuff that otherwise hasn't been seen anywhere other than in my studio. And I'm going to keep that going so that you guys get to see the previews and the hints of things of projects yet to come, all the little Easter eggs. That's what you get on the member side. I want to thank you guys all very much. And some of y'all might notice that there's a black crab that's running around in the chat, and that is, I believe it's the over 6 months subscribers. And so that just knocks me like clear across the room that y'all, we've been doing that for this long, and you've hung on tight, and you're still subscribing. I thank you so much. And so rewards are on the horizon for the fossil crabs and for all of you. Femme Mechanique is also in Tucson. Yeah. And there has been some really nice video content coming from her. Her part 2, I think, dropped today. or yesterday. I can't remember. It's all blurry, but thank you, Margaret, for the reminder on that. And I'm just making sure I'm not missing any of the answers. And Jenny is here in the house as well. Hey, Jenny. Very, very good to see everybody. Okay, and so I have two guests tonight, and I'm going to bring them both out at the same time. We have the contest wrangler, and that is Freeform Lapidary. Good to see you.
Hey, everyone.
Kalick.
Kalick? Okay. There's so many of those floating around now.
Right. No, you can go ahead and do a better job of introducing yourself than me. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Caleb, or Jahik, as you might have seen me around the community before.
Right. And you have been so kind to be the one putting together these contests that we've been going on over at the Discord. And so thank you so much for that. And I'll let you announce who the winner was.
Well, it was by a landslide. It was Ma. She made a fantastic cab and kind of swept the board.
Hi, Ma.
Oh, hello.
So the board sweeper is here as well. Thank you for coming, and we would love to hear a little bit about what your inspiration was for your cab.
Well, I had a dream about it, and it was a lot more elaborate in my dream. You know how that goes. So I had to tone it down a little. There was forests involved of little dendrited trees, and I had to simplify it. Otherwise, the cab would have been about 1.5 inches thick.
Uh-huh.
So, but I just I guess in my dreams I work on rocks apparently, and I was making that, and yeah, that's where I got the inspiration.
Nice. All right. Well, I'm gonna I'm maneuvering to bring up the thing. And there it is. So this is the creation that you made, and we do see a forest.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, forest is two.
More than one tree's a forest, right?
Right. I think that at the very least, yeah. And so I think that one of the most interesting things about your cabochon was your approach to its creation. And so I don't know if you had a chance to see how we started off this evening with our montage, and you guys all got a little preview. What do we see here, Ma?
Those are the two slabs that I made. I made a few cabs, and then just picked one that I liked the best to enter. But yeah, you could see on the right side there's the beautiful landscapey, sunsetty picture, and then I cut that one on the left into the teeniest little slices and bits. It was a gigantic pain in the tuchus, as you can imagine, because it's freaking Montana agate.
Right, times two.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, so much cutting to try to get the little trees out.
Yeah. Yeah, that was huge. And what a glutton for punishment, deciding that you were going to go from quartz to Montana agate, which is, you know, like going from the sun to Pluto as far as like hardness spectrum.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing I guess about it though, it's pretty tough because of how hard it is, and you're able to get really thin slices and not have to worry so much about it breaking on you. So there's that.
There's upsides to hard material. It has the tendency to be a touch easier, in my opinion, to polish.
Yeah.
You know, get scratches out.
Yeah. I think it just doesn't get scratches after you polish scratches out as much as something softer will, for sure.
Indeed. All right. And so, cheers, everybody. Hopefully, you have good stuff in your moose and that your evening is off to a wonderful start. And we're going to go to the next slide. And that is this madness.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
explain us through what we're looking at here.
Well, the upper left one is the little slices that I went and got out of that rock. I was harvesting some trees and then dopping them up to basically just sit on the flat lap for hours, making them as thin as possible.
Yeah.
That's what's up here.
That's no quick process
No.
with especially that particular material. So we're talking about some pretty meticulous work here.
Yeah.
And so the backlit ones you're seeing for those of the folks in the chat who want to either like don't cab yet, want to learn how to cab, or maybe don't know what they're looking at. What are the funny things poking out of your little square pieces of rock now here?
Did you just ask me a question?
I did.
I'm sorry. Please repeat the question.
Yeah. So those folks that are maybe not totally cabbers
Right.
might wonder what the rock on a stick thing that are these backlit items that they can see the stick. Can you explain real quick what's going on there?
You mean the dop on them?
I'm setting. I serve to your side of the court, dear. Setting you up.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, because these things are so thin, it'd be really hard to hold them with my fingers on the lap, and especially trying to pick them back up. So I just dop them with some acrylic rods and some UV resin, and use those to hold them up on the disc and grind away for hours, like I said. Because you have to get them very flat on both sides, and luckily you don't have to take them all the way through the polishing process. I stopped at 180, I believe, and then did a check to make sure that when I put the resin in there to bond it to the other layers, that the resin would kind of fill in any scratches that were left, and it worked great. So I didn't go any further than I needed to, but it was still like it was hours, because that stuff is so hard and it takes forever to remove any material from it, as I've learned. I mean, I knew, but now I really know. Like, I really know now.
It's so crazy when you work with something like that, and then you turn around and you work with something that has the tendency to go away faster, and you're
Yeah.
like, it's like putting a cube of sugar on a dop or something. You're like, whoa, like
Yeah.
it's all almost half gone by the time you catch yourself. Like, wow. So it's really interesting to calibrate your own attack in between different kinds of materials.
Oh, for
For
sure.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that hard stuff I love it, because this is the thing. I kind of thought I'd be terrible at making cabs and that kind of thing, because I had tried, when I was in my 20s, I took a lot of classes in silversmithing and that kind of thing. And I remember one of the lessons I had to do was taking a square wire, making a ring from it, and then carve it into a round ring. And I was so freaking bad at it. Like, I cried at how bad I was at that. And it's because it's so soft. And so with stones, it works so great for me, because it's, you have to creep up on what you're trying to do. You're not barreling into it, especially when you're working with hard stuff. So yeah, there's a little bit of forgiveness there. If you're not exactly sure what you're trying to do, you've got some time to kind of figure out what you're doing. And that works a lot better for me.
Yeah. It is interesting how much more delicate a hand you have to have with like silversmithing, and if you are working with turquoise or
Right.
any of the softer material.
Like rhodochrosite. Yeah.
Oh.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, your plans might change really fast, just
Yeah.
given like overcutting, which can
Yeah.
definitely.
It's like when the first time I worked with rotocross, I was so shocked that it was still shaping the stone when I was on like the 1200 disc,
Oh
and
yeah,
I that had never even occurred to me that that would happen, and I ended up having to change the shape of what I was doing because of that. But you live and learn.
yeah,
But I'm
absolutely.
definitely
Hi, Betty.
I'm
Go
definitely
ahead.
an agate. Agate's my jam, at least for right now.
Silicates, because you're super into quartz too.
Oh, I love it. But yeah, I mean, there's differences, but they're both hard enough. Like I don't struggle with quartz the way that I think I've heard a lot of people say they do, but I think that's just because like I take so long to make the stuff that I do. And so it's just kind of built into that. And especially because most of the time I'm doing things that are flat. And anybody who has had to polish something flat knows it's way harder to get the scratches out. It takes so much longer. Like if I'm doing my faceted cabs or whatever you want to call them, my faceted stones, they take like 4 times as long to do as a rounded cab. So yeah, I don't know. I think I've just like I have the patience for it, so it doesn't bother me. Quartz, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're talking about as far as it's much more difficult to cover up any accidents when you have a flat surface, and it's either done or it's not done. And when you have the rounded surface, you definitely get more grab on all the surface for the abrasives to do their job.
Right.
There's like availability where you have to work yourself down to the middle
Yeah.
of a flat surface. And so
Oh
there's
yeah.
always that patch where you're just like, go away now, please. Yeah.
Yeah. I've figured out that spending so much more time on the harder like the metal discs that I use at the beginning. I used to kind of not spend a lot of time there, and then I'd end up camping out on 220 just to get out whatever was left. And I've been spending lately a lot more time on the metal discs, and it's helped tremendously with that, I will say.
That's excellent. Yeah, hopefully,
Mhm.
people's ears are perked. Kurt is talking right now about that cab. Gave me an idea. I'll have to try out. And
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah, not only is it cool to be inspired and to catch the ball that Ma just sent into the crowd, but also she's she's talking about some of the techniques too, as far as hanging out with your metal laps a little bit longer, or what have you, like some of the lower grits to make sure that you're out of the woods
Yeah.
before you move on and have to go back. And it looks like Betty, Ma, I want to talk to you. We're talking about I want to talk to you. Talk to you. We're talking, okay, about a flat lap, right? Sometimes I don't know if I'm reading it wrong, or if somebody had like a run on text didn't. And so, yeah, go ahead and chat a little bit about your flat lap if you don't mind.
Okay. Uh,
So you were
uh,
talking about a flat lap, and so for anybody in the audience, this is different than a regular cab or how.
oh, it's flat, hence, the name. And it's just a disc that's spinning at whatever the speed is, and you're grinding your stones against a flat surface. So any rounding you're doing, or doing flat stuff or whatever, it's just a different technique. I've never actually gotten to use a cabbing machine, so I'm not sure the difference. I can't help you there. Maybe you can hit that question a little bit better than I could, Karen.
Um,
Uh,
which which part of the question?
oh, just maybe what the difference would be between using the two different styles of machine, because I've only used a flat lap.
Yeah, it's pretty big difference. Caleb also has some experience there. Do you want to touch upon that?
Yeah, sure. So with the cabbing machine, because you have cushioned wheels and it's not a flat surface because the wheels are round, Really good for doming and shaping in that way and polishing. Whereas the flat lap, much better for getting that perfectly flat plane you want for, like Mud does with her flat faceted cabs or flat polished specimens. That plane is, ideally perfectly flat so you can accomplish that. It's very difficult to accomplish a flat polish on a cabbing machine. You can do it sort of, but it is much more difficult to get those scratches out, especially when you're on the polishing wheels, because they're cushioned and versus the flat lap ones, which are typically, if you're using just the felt, it's fairly firm, even though it does have like a slight give, but it is fairly firm. As opposed to the cushion wheels, you can't get those that flat. It won't stay because as you start to add pressure, it starts to give and it'll start rounding out the outside of a flat plane before it gets to the center. And at that point, you're doming just very, very lightly. So that's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
And
Absolutely.
oops, sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
was going to say that if anybody is interested in doing any kind of like facets on cabs that they're working on, you're not going to want, if you have cushions under your felt discs, you're going to want to remove them. I learned that real quick because it's like it was putting a facet on the outside of my fat. It was just bad, and I ended up having to remove them. They're great for when you're doing cabs that are domed, the pads, but yeah, if you don't want your facet lines getting ruined, go ahead and take them off. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
That's good. So there's a lot of different ways to use a flat lap that you can't do things on the cabber, and so a lot of us that have one also desire the other. And so, the intarsia and doing flat surfaces like the facets that Ma is creating, things like that, you want like just a flat surface, the back of a cabochon. So these are all things that you do on a flat lap, whereas on the cabber, doing the domes, doing the fancy shapes, that sort of thing, definitely more conducive on the cabber and faster. Like,
Yeah.
way
Much faster.
so
So I what
Eh,
is making stuff shiny in a quick manner like? I just have no idea.
It'll happen. It'll happen. And it's good to see you. Everybody rocks. Thank you so much for swinging by. And she's of course pitching in her beautiful as far as your work goes. And we'll go back to the picture here really quick. So we're looking at a few pictures of you actually getting your bearing as to how you wanted to put the cab together. You want to tell us a little bit about these?
Yeah, I had picked out maybe a handful of the little trees that, I'd ground down, and before I spent too much time on them, I kind of mapped out where I wanted to put them on the background and just kind of to see what would look good where. And because with some of them, it's like the trees, one would be standing straight up, one is like at a slight angle. I had to kind of find in the landscape where to put that and have it work. And so
Oh,
I just had to do
totally.
a little bit of looking around and mapping out where stuff would end up. And because I made 3 cabs during this project, and all of them are here. In the top left one, there's 2 there, and then the bottom right one, or I'm sorry, the middle one, you can see that there's another little scene there. And that was fun, just kind of picking a spot where they're going to go. And yeah.
Yeah. Composition is a huge thing. Really quick, I wanted to say hi to Elisa. So good to see you. Also Ken. And then Resort Dog just slipped in as well. And as far as composition goes, this is so key. And I would love to toss it over really quick to Jahik. What do you look for in composition? Like Ma is making her composition here, which is super cool because it's like arranging flowers. This is like, neat that you get to arrange something for a cabochon. And then there's the flip side of it where, you might have to look in your stone for the composition. Tell me a little bit about how you approach that, Caleb.
Usually I'm just grabbing the slab and I'm looking for the key features in whatever the material might be. So, if you have like a lace agate, for example, and it's pretty, consistent banding all the way through, you kind of just have straight lines. So in that kind of or at just banding lines, and it might not be too complicated. So in that, you might look for orientating those in a way that kind of makes it look unique across a stone. So if you have, say, an oval cab, I might take something like that, and instead of having them run in line with the longer length of the oval, I might put them at like an angle so it kind of strips across that. It's just something to kind of contrast the elements that are existing inside the stone already. And then in some of the crazy stuff like crazy lace and that kind of thing, you're just looking for a kind of, or I'm looking for objects inside that might kind of complement each other or offset or even still work with the shape a little bit and find ways to work that in. And you might see a little bit of that in a cab that'll come up in a little bit. So
Yes.
Mhm.
And so one of the things that I think was really fun that you brought up the last cab contest, when we were looking for things that are in the rocks, which is what my one here. What happens sometimes to what you saw on the surface as opposed to what ends up happening in the cab when you're through. Explain that a little.
yeah, I mean, it just kind of changes as you go through. As you start your shaping and your doming, the elements might move around and change a little bit.
Yeah,
Oh
for
yeah.
sure. And I mean, I think that that's actually chasing what it's going to look like, not so much what the slab looks like when you get started, is part of what fires my enthusiasm to keep on. Like, I'm literally, bleary eyed at like 1 a.m. going, okay, just one more rock though.
Yep, been there.
Yeah. And you're like accidentally skidding your fingers by then on like all of the wheels and you're like it hurts, but I gotta go on.
hmm
Yeah. And so but this is neat. This is like was, a complete different approach as far as being able to get the bearing on okay, here's the land, here's the sunset, and here are my trees. And so we're going to continue on and slide, please. There we go. So what is going on in the left hand corner of this slide, Ma?
That was just a side view of how thin I'd gotten it. I kept going after that for a while,
How
but
thin you got which part of it? Which element is
the
this?
middle, this is the dendrites. Um, I was trying to get them as thin as I possibly could so that the cab didn't look weird and wasn't too thick. That's the thing is like the girdle on uh most stones isn't that big. So and luckily for me, and I didn't even know it when I got it or when I bought it, but the one that ended up being the background, it was so thin and I couldn't tell in the pictures when I picked it. Like I just saw it and fell in love with it. I was like, I have to have that. I got it, and when it got to me, I was like, oh my god, thank goodness, like half my work is done, because that was like freaking paper thin, like already. So I got really lucky because that would have added hours if I'd had to grind down a 1/4 inch slab.
Yeah, yeah. No
Um,
kidding.
yeah. So I got really lucky, and it's like this is the thing too with the trees. It's so hard because um, you don't know if you look at, and as I learned while doing this, a lot of trees you'll see or dendrites or features of any kind that you're looking at in a Montana agate, a lot of times they're like layers and layers and layers of the little minerals being deposited in there. And so like I found that one of my trees, like the little thing that looked like the trunk of the tree, was like one little line in the back, and then all the stuff that looked like foliage was in a completely separate layer in the front. So
hmm
you're also having to worry about, am I going to grind through
You're
some of
like
that?
bonsai cutting, like if I trim that, like what's gonna happen?
Yeah, I mean, and there was things where like it had started out with 3 trees, and when I got it down to thin enough, one of the trees was already half gone. So then I'm
Wow.
having to continue removing that tree and hoping it lives on a layer above everything else. So it was a little bit of a gamble, and I mean, I spent a lot of time. This was a labor of love for me. Like I had a vision and I wasn't going to let it not happen, but there was lots of frustrations and that happens. But in my opinion, when you have those frustrations, when you get it done, it's so much more satisfying. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Like I love that you fussed a
Yeah.
lot.
Oh,
Um
I fussed.
yeah. Because yeah, the outcome, does hopefully it's that much richer when you finish. And a thing about the girdle, like when you were talking about taking the triplet up to a certain height, there's a place where it stops being all that manageable for jewelry too.
Right.
Like what in the how, like I'm gonna have to build a wall instead of using bezel wire. Like what in the world do you contain this beast with if it gets to a certain amount of largitude, and so
I I didn't think about that, Kate.
height, largitude,
Largitude.
whatever you want to call it. We're talking about lapidary terms now. Adding to Karen's lexicon. And so, really quick before we go on to the next slide, I like that you put the array for the triplet down in the bottom of the slide there, so that you can
Oh,
totally see, like, okay, this is how the sausage was made. I know a lot of people have been talking about backing like rutile and some other things. There's stuff on the market that there is, clouds, like cloudy
yeah.
agate that has been backed with different, materials and that sort of thing. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, as far as the approach, do you have any recommendations? Like Kurt was just talking about wanting to do something, it gave him an idea. Do you have any recommendations as far as your approach goes?
Oh yeah, and what you need to understand about this particular picture where you can see the 3 layers, that's because I did a bad job setting the quartz onto, because the
No.
two the layer with the tree and the background, I glued those together first. And then I cut out the quartz and I shaped it to the rough shape that I wanted so that I could kind of window where I wanted to put that, right? Then I glued that all together and cut it all out. But when I did the second layer, I'm sorry, when I added the quartz layer to the top, I was trying to speed up the process because the deadline was the next day.
Right.
So I was trying to speed up the process, and you can heat the resin I used to cure it faster. But I messed up and it got too close to the heat source. And when I came back, it had made bubbles. So I had to soak it in acetone overnight and pry everything apart and clean it all back up and then try to put it back together and have it line up correctly. So the picture you're seeing there of the 3 layers, you only get to see that because I made a mistake.
I was wondering about that because I was like, wow, she shaped them all perfect. And
Nope.
then she put it together. That's amazing. So, okay. You're still amazing in my head. It's just, yeah, I get it
I'm
a
sure.
little
I
bit.
get what you're saying. Yeah, no, I did not perfectly calibrate 3 free-form shapes and then stick them together.
Yeah, that would
No,
have been pretty awesome. But I
that
like
would be ridiculous. Let's be
I
honest.
love
Like
that
that would be
that would be amazing calibration for sure. But the fact that we get to see it taken apart is, super cool. Those of you
yeah.
who,
For you guys.
want to see the engineering of it because you do want to try it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And
Yeah.
so go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think that kind of from the little bit that I know about how people make triplets, you're usually gonna just take you're gonna have a rough shape, or like I made squares because it was just easy to make squares, cut out squares. I made a little sandwich and then I cut everything out. And I shaped it all at the same time. Just so you get an idea.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. And so we have here one of the things I really, really love is seeing a start to finish, like a full start to finish. Like here's a lump of, raw material, and here's like the finished piece.
Yeah.
And so we get to see that tonight with your piece here. And so tell us a little bit about the finish on this.
Okay. Yeah. I went and looked for beads that complemented the colors that are in there. And so there's some, and you can't really tell. The thing that's kind of unfortunate about the pictures that I took here is that I could not get the beads to kind of show their true color. These are very orange garnets, and they look exactly like the same color as the background. But because there's a little, and I think actually I had been talking to Jahik about this when I was going through the process of picking the beads I was going to use with it, and he suggested putting some clear in there as well to kind of tie in the little bits that are clear in the cab, and I think it turned out great. Like, I love the color combo in this very much, and I have to thank him for that. He helped me. He gets a little assist on this one.
Woohoo!
Thanks.
All right, the alley oop. Yeah, that turned out great. And you know, one of these times, and this is like a shout out to everybody, including you, Caleb and Ma. We should do a photographing stones special
Yes.
because getting accurate color is so flippin' hard. And so I
Yeah.
would love to, you know, just have like a jam session
Oh, please.
because
Please
that's
do
what
this.
we're always doing,
I
right?
could, yes, and I could get either the Montana agate to look true to life or the color of the beads. I could not get both of them to look like they do to my eye. And I just
Yeah.
finally went, close enough. Because I mean, I'm not a photographer, and I'm using very limited, like I didn't Photoshop or anything like that. So I'm just using what's available on my iPad. And yeah, I got it as good as I could. But I'd love to learn tricks. Like maybe if it was backlit or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there are a bunch of different tricks, which I would love, you know, to just combine a bunch of that into one show so that you could have like this wonderful little capsule that,
Yes,
you know,
please.
you could discuss and watch over again and over and over and over. But you did a great job. You know, we're always trying to take pictures of not only our raw rocks like the rough, but also these cabochons and jewelry pieces. And you know, definitely made it look elegant and gorgeous, which it didn't need any help because it is.
Oh,
So
that's so
very,
sweet.
very pretty. And I did also want to touch upon really quickly the fact that there's many different ways to set up a jewelry project. And so if you wouldn't mind talking really quick about the way that you set this cabochon, because
Oh,
that's another jam session that we should all have at some point too.
yeah. I think I owe Kyle the credit for he's the person that I finally, because I had been trying to figure out, and I'd been making actually like groove cuts in cabochons like well before I was making my own cabochons. I was making groove cuts in them, but man, I was doing them with a handsaw and a diamond coated piano wire.
Oh yeah.
And let me tell you how tedious and time consuming and just inaccurate that process can be. You start on, yeah, just imagine it. Anything that can go wrong, I've made it go wrong. But I think at some point I was watching Kyle do something, and he said, oh, use a diamond cutoff disc in a drill press. And I already have a drill press. So all you have to do then is you have to have some sort of platform that will hold your stone up high enough so that the diamond cutoff disc is basically, I guess, parallel to your stone, and then you're lining it up where you want the groove to be, and then you're just turning the stone and letting the cutoff disc make that groove all the way around. Yeah, and so that's how I did it. And luckily, because there was 3 layers, I just lined up the cutoff disc to perfectly hit that middle one with the dendrites on it, and I put it right there, and then I just wire wrap it with silver to make the little loop, and just attached it to some chain, and there you go.
Awesome. Yeah, because I think that I've heard it asked like a gazillion times. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what? I have this cabochon, what do I do with it? You know? And so I would
Yeah.
love to devote a show with what the heck you do with it. And meanwhile, we've been having like a certain amount of drama going on in the chat.
Uh-oh.
So I'm just gonna take a moment, not like serious drama.
Okay.
But Rufotris was in Tucson, and I guess not so much at this moment in time, but going back to Quartzsite. And so Rufo, I would love to hear what's going on with you. At some point, I hope that everything is fine. It's like that's a lot of driving to not hang out for very long, but I hope that everything is going okay for you over there in Arizona. And it looks like Julie is back up in here, which is fun because they were live earlier today, Brian and Julie, over there in Arizona as well on a fire agate claim. And I guess she was collecting some cactus needles in her bottom or something. Like it was apparently like pretty exciting and dramatic as well. So and then they like mysteriously lost contact with us, and so some of us were wondering if the aliens had finally got them, but it's good that you guys are back and in her butt. Yeah, verifying that that is indeed what happened. Oh
I
It
dear.
was pretty comical.
I missed that part. Got there late. I just
Me
Hilarious.
too. Oh my goodness. And so there's that for you guys to go watch. Because that was a live stream that they had put up earlier. I think it's on their member side. Worth the price of admission. Go become a member.
okay.
Yeah, these pop-up lives are quite exciting. And yeah, she says my phone died. Must have been the aliens. Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh. All right. And so and yes, Rufo, perhaps that would have been the better move. Dude, I'm feeling for you. Tucson is such a wild and crazy event. And so yeah, just trying to swing in for a day or two is very challenging. I hope you had a good time though. And so I asked Melissa to send me another jewelry attack as far as how to put your cabochon onto a jewelry piece, because both of these different approaches are kind of not the norm. Like you see bezels and things like that all the time, and so I enjoy seeing these other ways to manipulate a cabochon or a stone. So you want to talk about this one?
Oh, sure. A lot of times, if I'm having to make a wrap on something and it has more than one loop in it, a lot of times I'll just go and I'll drill instead. And the reason for that is, I mean, because I can't do silversmithing the way that I'd like to yet, and I'm saying yet because I'm going to be working on that this year. The wire tends to not sit in the little grooves that I've made if I'm making more than one loop, and I don't know why. It's just it's a struggle, and so. And I also kind of like the cleaner look of there not having to be a wire going all the way around the stone. The stone can really stand out by itself, and so then I'll drill. And I use my Fordham and 1mm core bits to drill in. And then I've started making my own little settings. You can buy little like eye hooks that you can, or eye loops, whatever you want to call them, that you can attach yourself. But I just make little loops, like wrapped loops, cut them to that size, drill that depth, and then I set it with jeweler grade epoxy. And yeah, that's another way you can do it.
I love it. Yeah. And so, there's lots of different ways to skin cats. Not that we want to skin any cats. I don't know where they got that, but like, as far as your approach to projects, if something that is a little bit more the norm doesn't seem to fit the vibe, there's just a lot of different ways to go about it. I encourage creativity and looking around, around at what other people are doing. That person might have come up with that idea, but honestly, we all stand on each other's shoulders in creativity land.
Yeah.
you know,
It's like,
so go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna, it's like, and this is the thing. It's like, if I could silversmith, I know exactly what that setting would look like, but I can't achieve that yet. So then it's kind of just next best thing, and what can you do? And like, I developed a lot of these kind of techniques when I didn't have the ability of making my own stones, and I was having to manipulate what I could buy on the market as far as the cab goes, and still be creative with it and make jewelry with it, even if I didn't make the stone myself. And so I already kind of, when I got to the place that I could make them myself, I had a kind of a leg up at that point, because I'd already been doing this kind of thing
Yeah.
uh, well before. So it just kind of lent itself to, once I started making my own things and I'm wanting to make jewelry with them, I kind of already knew how to achieve it, even if it wasn't what I'd really like to be doing. You know, like, there's what you want to do and then what you can do. And yeah, there you go.
I love that you put it that way. That is absolutely perfect, because I think that the quickest way to attaching those two concepts, you know, what you can do and what you'd like to do, is by putting the lily pads out to walk on, that like, okay, I can do this. And then, you know, you throw the next one out a little bit farther. I can do this. Tomcat Josh just said, jeweler grade epoxy. I have cabs from Kyle I'm wanting to do. And
Yep.
and so yeah, like, let your mind roam. Look at what other people are doing and what their angle of attack is. If you really feel like it's something that's super duper unique, ask the person if it's okay for you to use their idea. But more than likely, this has been done like a
Oh
gazillion
yeah.
times before, you
Yeah,
know?
like,
And
I
so,
didn't invent groove setting. Like, it's an idea I thought I came up with, and then realized, like, no, this has been happening forever. So it's just, that's gonna happen though. Like, people that have to get creative about how they're doing stuff, or you're gonna have ideas that overlap. And like, I'm certainly not the first person who ever made a triangle pyramid cab. I'm probably the person who became the most obsessed with it. But it's just it's just, you're pretty much everything has been done, but putting your spin on it is what's going to make it you, you know? And like, the style that, like, this is the thing, like, you could you could take this exact cab here and make jewelry with it 1,000 different ways. And so it's just kind of figuring out what is your aesthetic, what do you want it to look like if I were to buy it, what would I want it to look like? And that's kind of just, I just make jewelry I'd want to wear, and that I do wear.
100%. That is
Yeah.
such the great way to put it. And as far as, like, you know, the overlap, we have like red, yellow, and blue, and look at how many different paintings are made from that. And
Right,
so,
exactly.
you know, it's okay, and you are going to, you know, take cues from other people, and then when you do it with your hands, it's going to be the onlyest one that has
Yeah.
ever existed. And so, you know, on the creative side, I'm just like a big proponent of, like, do it. And even if you copy it, you know, some of the greatest masters copied first, and
Yeah.
then they went on to doing, and you know, and then you share, and you don't get upset if somebody like takes an idea you had, because you got your ideas from somewhere too, you know. And so, like, I think that whole big creative circulation is a really good thing. It
Agree.
makes us all stronger. Yeah, we all share. And so, this absolutely lovely and fantastic. And then, we have dun dun dun. So,
Woo!
so the winner of the contest for January, which was Melissa here, gets to choose what the next subject is for all of us to have our contest. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what she chose?
You want me to explain? I thought you said Melissa. I'm sorry.
No,
Either,
Oh,
either
you.
of
okay.
you.
She's talking to you, sir.
Okay. Live edge. Um, it's just utilizing a bit of the natural rind or bots or crystals or anything that come in your stone as part of the edge of your cab. You know, a good example would be to You know,
Turtle.
you have this cool looking slab that has these really nice botryoidal features here. Oops, can you guys see that? Yeah, okay.
Hold on.
And
Let me
Make him
see if
big.
I can make you better.
okay,
Yeah, she's
Oh,
gonna make you big.
make
hi.
me better.
I made me
Hello.
better. Look at that.
Oh, hi, Carrie.
Let's
Hi.
make you better.
All right, that works. So you can utilize elements like this that you see inside your slab that are cool to work around. And a lot of people, when they're cutting regular cabs, you'll lose this stuff because you're cutting a stone somewhere in here. And so for a live edge cab, you're going to try to utilize this in part of it. And so that could be like taking this and, you know,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
forming something like that. And it's very doable. It can be a little tricky, but it's just to make your cab a little bit more unique and utilize things that don't get utilized often.
Oh, that's so cool. And
The
you have
best.
the stencil thingy that I couldn't think of the name of before. Yay. And so as far as these live edge cabochons go, this is absolute craziness to some folks.
Is it?
And and so we have some examples here. So Jahik, do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so I did this for a contest that I used to be a part of. Similar thing, a cabochon contest in another rock community. And I chose the competition was also live edge. So I went ahead with this green and white moss agate here with these little crystal vugs and yeah, composed something out of it. Utilized it there on the right hand edge and it turned out really cool. But you can see one thing I'd like to highlight out of this. You can see it's like the finished cab is a larger cab. But and so that was really maximizing the most out of that little slab. Now, someone trying to cut just regular cab out of that, you know, you might just be looking for little pieces, especially if you don't want the vugs inside even if it's on the inside and not so much on the
What
edge.
want
There's
the
very
vibe?
little that you can use there.
Both Melissa
Sorry.
and I, what are you even talking about? Of course you want the bugs.
Everybody cuts different, right? So
Yes.
so if you weren't trying to utilize something like that, you wanted a clean stone, you might only be able to use like the upper third of that slab or something along those lines, or maybe it's not usable at all to you. And so this really I really tried to maximize what I could get out of this, and it turned out really great.
It's
You know,
amazing.
yeah. What this
I
kind of
tried to buy
reminds
this one, and it was
Did
long
you
gone.
really?
Yeah. Oh, I wanted it when I first saw it, and he's like, "Yeah, sorry, that thing's long gone."
Oh, nice.
Boo. Sorry.
Well, congratulations on long gunning it. But you know, it reminds me kind of the wabi sabi idea, like the idea of the beauty in driftwood or in, you know, the thing like the bonsai tree or what have you, you know, kind of wrapping the aesthetic. And again, if you're framing your cabochon, which we were talking about a little bit earlier, working with, you know, what kind of crazy beauty, what kind of rustic beauty does the stone already have, and then framing that.
Hmm. Yeah, and I intentionally left that staining on there to add just like a little bit more contrast to it. If I had cleaned that up, it could have gone like clear white fully, and you know, it wouldn't be so it wouldn't stick out so much. So I left all that in there. So it's, you
Right.
know, it's just all part of kind of envisioning what it might be when it's finished, you know.
It's
I love that concept too. Like you can use iron out to get rid of like oxidation and stuff like that, but then you'd have gotten rid of the contrast, is what you're saying. And once again, instead just embracing the wabi sabi of it, the aesthetic that its natural form was, right?
Yep.
Awesome. And Kurt is asking, can the live edge be in the center of the stone?
Well, as long as it connects to the edge, it has to connect to the edge. That's the idea.
By
yeah.
definition, the edge being the
Yeah.
edge. Right?
But see, this is the thing about it. You can kind of create your own live edge by, let's say, on your slab there is a really beautiful bug in the middle of it. Put that on the edge of the stone, and then it suddenly is the edge. Do you see what I'm saying? So put the line right through it or right at the edge of it. It's like, as long as there's something at the end of it that isn't getting polished over, you know, that would do it.
Yeah.
So I think that there's maybe some question here. Tomcat, I don't know if my Malawi has the qualifications. Um, I think that if you have any stone, actually, I should let Caleb answer that question. What would you say to that?
Technically speaking, as long as you're using like the edge of your slab, it could be, the crusty edge. Like it doesn't really matter. You can still frame that, you know, into something pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
or you can look at it like that. You can still frame it in to make it unique and count. But yeah, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's really just to get us to try new concepts and stuff. And a lot of people, I would say, probably haven't done a live edge cab, or a lot. And yeah, you can use the more unique features. I usually try to, if I'm going for that, because they can be kind of difficult to work. Yeah, your technique has to be a little bit better on it, because it's really easy to break off a small segment that's protruding out when you're rough grinding it. So you know even if your agate just doesn't look too interesting on the edge, if it's like a rounded out nodule, just leave it there. Let us see that that the skin is still there, and that's good. I'm good with that.
So a great example of that would be any of, like, say, the pine cone coins,
Oh yeah.
or any of the pieces that were, say, the corals that
Hmm.
both Josh and Rufo had. And so, like, leaving part of it live edge, and then maybe making a girdle or whatever, so that we see what the edge might have looked like, and then cabbing the rest of it.
Hmm.
And I think that does stretch your brain out a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're trying to find a way to make it work there, and that can push you into areas that maybe you weren't really thinking about before, because normally you're thinking about just removing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and so, leave part of the banana peel on. And so, one of the things that I really appreciated you, bringing along this evening, Kalik, was the the calibration tool, because I think that some people are a little daunted by doing a freeform cabochon. And what we've been showing here are the freeform cabochons, and yet, if you want to do a perfect circle or an oval or something like that, that definitely doesn't ruin your chances for a live edge.
Correct. A really popular version of live edge is something like I've been trying to show here, where you're taking an oval, for example, and you're moving that up into there. And so you're getting like, 3/4 of a regular cab, but this whole exposed void makes the stone really unique. And you can and kind of imagine it being mounted that way in a setting or something, and having that up or down or even sideways, whatever. But yeah, you can still make it look uniform. Like something like that will still look uniform when it's
Yeah.
done, because you have 3/4 of an oval there. So it looks neat, but still has this little bit of live edge.
Well, yeah, it's
I
like
am Go ahead.
sorry, the picture on the right of the finished cab here with his other, like, if you look at that, there's a beautiful shape there, and it's like in his imagination he's finished it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if you draw the line where there's a missing void, it's still fitting into a shape he's created, and
Right.
that's what makes it so interesting. It's like your brain will make it look so balanced, because if you from your mind's eye go down from the top and up from the bottom, you can see where they would meet if there was material there, and that is what makes it look, in my opinion, so amazing. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
so much more visually interesting. It's just adding something, and I think that this looks so balanced, and it's because it's still following a shape you've created in your mind.
Right.
Right.
So that's a good cue for some of the folks that are having trouble jumping off the cliff. And yet it's a kind of a time in which you get to dance with what your personal aesthetic is. Like what
Yeah.
is looking right to you. And so if you're circling it on the stencil, or if you're trying to find the shape while you're, just right in the midst of cabbing it as you go along, whichever way that you're doing it, finding the personal aesthetic. And then what I think is really, really exciting, this is what typically ignites my jewelry head, is that
Mm.
I'm already starting to set that piece as it's like on the last couple of wheels. I'm going like, oh my gosh, like wouldn't that be so cool if it had like, the bottom of it was cradled in a bezel, but like there's like 2 or 3 like prongs, and then maybe in that void there's actually a gemstone that is
Right.
also holding it there, like that's the other anchor. And so, I'm just going,
Yeah.
just as you're working. And so you can't beat anything that's also igniting, your future projects while you're working on it. That's like the best
Agreed.
to me.
Agreed.
And yeah. And so thank you so much, Tomcat Josh. You rock for bringing us some 5 new memberships. Let me ring the bell. And
Vigorous.
Brian, Brian, very vigorous bell ringing. And Brian, definitely we would love to see you cab, and it would be so neat to see what you'd come up with. Just like art, like I was saying before, everybody has their like approach and take on it. As soon as you kind of get past the like I'm just starting out stage, like it's so amazing to see people's work and what it is that they prefer to do and what shapes they like. So exciting.
Love
You
it.
should do it. You should totally do it. I mean, like we watched that with Melissa. Like we watched her get her flat lap, and we watched her explode into triangle like
She saw
madness.
Triangle land,
It's
never to
so
return. He's lost
And
out there.
right. And same
Wow.
with Ryan. Ryan is just like kicking, prickly pear butt, and taking names with all of the incredible cabs that he's making. And so it's been really exciting to watch some of the folks out there blossom and coming up with the different takes on what cabbing means to you, because you each do have a total style like already. And so that's super fun.
Aw,
Super fun
thank
to
you.
watch. Aw. And so what is this that we are casting our happy eyes upon now, Caleb?
That would be my submission for the February Live Edge contest.
Okay, we have
Yeah.
submissions already.
Yeah, I wanted to jump on it early, maybe just to inspire people to have some ideas. Like I did post the cab that we just saw as an example, and I just wanted to do like another little take on it, and get people motivated to get out there, and start trying at least, because like I said, these can fail on you, which this one did at first with what I had envisioned. And so it might take a couple attempts to get something this intricate right.
So
And so, yeah.
So I thank you so much for saying what you just did. Because some people could be a collapsed heap of person in the corner sobbing like because of their first attempt.
Mhm.
And a lot of times it does take a few tries, especially when you have a fragile thing such as like this is like not only live edge, but it's easily a quarter to a third of the entire cabochon not being there,
Right.
negative space. And
Yeah.
so is there a possibility like something like this might be physically not able to go through the entire polish process without breaking? Maybe.
Yeah, and it definitely did.
Okay.
So you can see there on the left the original slab that I was starting from. I did envision that that cavity there full of bots and little crystals and stuff being the centerpiece. And so I was going to take what you see on the left side of it and just mirror it to the right side more or less, just to start
Right.
with like my rough shape idea. And I thought that would be cool to just see this wicked chasm just going up into the cab. And but I did know of some issues because I took a light to it and I could see that there were some internal fractures. I snipped off the kind of right side there to make it even. And then as I started to grind on the right side, that internal fracture just snapped. I mean, that rough grinding just it took all of like 30 seconds and it just snapped off.
Oh,
Oh.
wow.
And so, but you know, and that then that forced me to kind of rethink because that was like what I wanted that going up there like that. And so I had to rethink and you know, it was like, okay, well, what do I do? Do I make a small cab in the top half and just kind of utilize a little bit of that or you know, just and then I ended up kind of just I was like, well, let me just get kind of the skin off the outside. And yeah, that's kind of where I ended up. I started noticing, you know, it could be a shield shape, and you guys know I love those so much, and I just started going for it, and it just luckily it worked out. I was really worried because what you don't see on the front half here, you can see where the very tip of the void is, where it kind of comes together in like a little point.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
If you follow that line off that point going up just like a quarter inch above from the top on the backside, that void continues. And so it is really thin up there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
starting to
you
get a
could
little
see it now that you've
dodgy.
said that.
Right. There's a bunch of negative space in the back there. So this was,
Woo!
you know, going through the rough grinding on this after breaking, it was still a little daunting. It's just slow. You're not putting a lot of pressure and just trying to work away as little as you have to. It turned
It's
out
so
great, I think.
it's great. But you see, it's the same thing again where like you look at that and it's so balanced because there's a line you draw with your brain where there's a void and it's just perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
Claim,
Yep.
claim.
That's good. Good stuff. And hopefully it's giving y'all some ideas out there that you know, if you are starting off cabbing, you know, actually this can be a buy for you a bit because say you did want to do a circle that had a live edge through the middle of it if you were, you know, doing a stencil, then you only have to do the half of it.
Right.
You know,
A little less work.
yeah, a little
Mhm.
less work and a little bit more room for, you know, some easygoing error, if you will. Um, just because, you know, you're not looking for a perfect shape necessarily. You're not looking for getting all the entire girdle perfectly level with itself, which in and of itself can be like, you know, kind of makes you cross-eyed. And so, you know, this is actually very, very beginner friendly. So
Yeah,
please,
it
no matter
seems
who you are, go ahead, Ma.
it just seems intimidating. It's just you once you wrap your head around it, it can be simple. Like obviously that you can make it much more complicated if you want to or whatever, but yeah, it's just you just have to make it kind of like there was still something there. And you know just shape it like there was still something there. And then the thing that makes it beautiful is the fact that there isn't something there. It's
You
weird,
know,
but
I've
it
I've
works.
seen, yeah, in this case that totally works. I've seen people also you know, just make a totally um abstract shape out of something like this where
Yeah.
yeah, you know, like the opening at the top is maybe a seam, you know,
Right.
from the vug or whatever, and so it just like it just maybe two sides are uh whatever, like two straight sides, and it comes to like a weirdness at the top, or you know what I mean? Like it's okay also if it's not even cab shape in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Right.
If like 1/3 of it, you know, if you're making a triangle and 1/3 of it is just like the weird undulation of whatever that live edge is, how visually interesting is that? You know, that's okay. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, all the different ways to deal with this aesthetic are fun things. And I think it was, oh man, who was it? Somebody I think who is here in the chat, who's over on the Discord, was talking about starting 5 stones. And I was like, yeah,
Oh yeah,
that
that was
that's
Cheryl.
what to do.
Yeah, it's
Might as
Cheryl.
well.
Cheryl with an X.
Right, yeah, you know, and so you can have fun without having too much pressure on any one of your projects, but also if something doesn't go right, then you don't have all your eggs in one basket. If something
Yeah.
breaks, same. But I love the idea of like, you know, best case scenario, you have 5 that you have trouble choosing which is the best out of, and you know these 4 other ones are going to be awesome to use as whatever projects plus the one, so you've
Exactly.
created a body of work, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I agree. You know, something interesting about this when you're talking about setting it, I was trying to keep that in mind because, like, as someone who doesn't really set stones in silver or anything, I still have to be, aware of the features that they require for them to be set. Otherwise, who's going to want the cabs that I create? And so with this one, I mean, realizing that a very large section of this was going to be gone, I made sure to put a nice little angle on the girdle so that there's a little bit more meat there to grab onto, and just to hold it if, say someone were to set it. Now,
Yeah.
you would be a better person to ask how to envision setting this, with that void, because I would assume you probably don't want silver behind in that void. So maybe you would
Oh,
want it open or something along those lines. But, I
You know
still,
what my jam would be? I'd stuff a gemstone in there, and then like you'd be able to see past it. You know, like it would be the peg that would hold it. But then I'd cut around as far as what was holding on to the back of that gem, so that you would be able to see past it. Just shy of that like little gem that is sitting in that cave or niche.
yeah.
Yeah, I would be all over that. Like
oh man,
in
that'd be
seconds,
beautiful.
And,
right? And
and
it
it,
would be really cool if it was like a citrine or an ametrine, or even if you went to the green side, if you were doing like a green tourmaline or something like that, like it would just be insanity. So that's what my brain does. But I'm sure that you guys have solved this. This is what's so cool. It's problem solving, and every single brain is going to have a different creative solution. I love that so much.
yeah. And that one more element just to add to like the thought process of if I were thinking about someone setting it, is that I left it a bit thicker of a cabochon than like my thinner ones that I do sometimes. Just because there's so much missing, that little bit of extra meat there will help hold it together. So, those are just
That's
kind of some of the thought processes that you might want to consider when you're trying to go through this live edge. If you're trying to do some crazy thing like I just did, you don't want to make that paper thin because it's most likely going to break on you. And so, think about those little elements when you're trying to tackle it. If you have like like on the right side there, that tip, that could break off very easy if and then you're stuck trying to work around that and make that fit back into it. And so, be aware of some of
Well,
these little
that's
things.
actually where a prong goes. I don't know if anybody saw that, but
Yeah, I was wondering if you
solution.
had wrapped it in silver or something, if you would just kind of try to wrap around that little tip just a little bit to kind of hold it in or something. But
Hook it.
yeah,
Yeah, because like Kurt, who's in the chat, he'd come up with a wrap for that, which would be like, a complete other galaxy away from any of the solutions that I have at my disposal, which is once again so exciting. That gives me actually an idea for you, Jahik, you were talking about maybe having another monthly challenge. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we do have the cab contest, and that kind of just speaks to the people who can cab currently. And there's a lot of other aspects of our lapidary that we enjoy, and not even just lapidary, but jewelry making as well. And so what I'd like to do is like a themed monthly showcase, if you will, of I'll just like throw out something like like a material, maybe leave it a little broad, like just petrified wood as an example. And you know, you guys would all be welcome to participate in uploading that. It won't be a contest or anything. It's just going to be showcasing in the month. Maybe you worked on some petrified wood. That could be tumbles. It could be you know, bead work. It could be wire wraps. Could be cabochons or flat polishes. You know, a specimen or something like that. You know, that would be like a just get more people involved in sharing some more and stuff. Like we do have the show and tell, but that's just kind of like when someone feels like sharing something, they'll throw it out there. But this will be kind of a little more like, oh, you know, I do have this petrified wood cab that's been laying around that I haven't wire wrapped yet. Maybe I'll do that and throw it out there so everybody could see. And so that's the kind of the idea of it. It's just a little showcase place where we can kind of work towards a theme a little bit and just create and just share it with each other.
I
I
love
love
it.
that. Yeah, and so I was just thinking, like, a theme at some point might be, to take, uh, the cab from, one of these months or one that's like it and set it and, like, come up with some crazy setting that you've never done, and because I know a lot of people are stretching to try twisting for the first time or, wrapping. And then other people, would love to get into silversmithing, and it wouldn't have to be that, it could be like leather or,
Yeah.
some other material entirely. And so, that not only is a cue for you, actually to, if you wanted to talk about that leather thing, Jahik, and then also we have some different cabs to show some of the different, girdles for that same exact reason. So go ahead.
All right. So yeah, another way to capture stud into a piece of jewelry is with leather. Uh, you know, you could there's a number of different ways you can kind of accomplish that. Nomad Kai is a good example. He's been sharing some stuff recently. He's doing a really great job with that. And yeah, you'll see him for like wristbands, even pendants, and all kinds of things. Um, you know, there's ways to take the leather and form it into what you want, and you could use water to do that so it becomes malleable, and you can kind of press your cab in there and get it to kind of take this shape, so when it dries it holds that shape, and it's like acting like as if you were setting it in something. It's just that leather holding it. You can stitch and glue and do a number of different ways, and as well as make your leather ornate to make the piece really cool. You know, that's another just another unique way to highlight some jewelry or some stones, and you can have a lot of fun with that. And I'm actually looking into that a little bit. I have a bunch of leather working tools and stamps and fun things that I want to start playing with. So yeah, maybe you guys will see some of that from me in the future.
Awesome. And so there's the, approach to do it in leather, there's the approach of metal, there's approaches like the, drilling, there's, just epoxy, or some kind of adhesive if you're going to put like a bale onto your piece. One of my very first set stones that I ever did was actually a peyote stitch, which is, the Native American and beadwork situation. So there's different ways of weaving small format thread or materials around the different cabochons. And so, I mean, since we've been around on the planet, we've been admiring rocks and we've been wanting to wear them. And so there's a lot of different approaches to creating your setting. And so what I like here is this is kind of an illustration of some of the different girdles and why in the world do we put a girdle on? So Jahik, you want to answer that question?
Yeah. So it can be set in jewelry or in some fashion. And that could be either prong set or it could be with, you know, with a bezel, or it could just even just be sat in and like kind of like epoxied into place, you know, and having other things going on around it. There's a lot of different ways to accomplish that, and you know, these different edges will help with that. You know, that first Bruno Jasper cab on the top left there, you know, that's not going to be very good for a bezel because it is so down to like a razor edge. And I think that's a really more of an old school style of cab cutting. And I think I've seen these before. Kind of like set in, like glued into place in a piece of silver before. And another way and the other thing with those is I think some cabs are just kind of meant to be display cabs. It's just kind of
Yeah.
like showing off.
Yeah.
And this is really good for that because you don't have to worry about but you just make your shape and grind it down, and you know there's that. And then as you can see, it kind of steps up from left to right here, going a little bit thicker for bezeling. That could even still be prong or wrapped even. And then you on the bottom left you've got kind of like a reverse girdle, and then on the bottom right you'll have like a fully rounded, which is, you know, a lot of people who work opals will do that kind of effect, so it can be set in like a prong setting and fully polished all the way around. And so yeah, there's just a lot of ways to kind of accomplish, or you know, when you're making your cab, you're thinking about what you want to do with it, but also if you know if you have the intention of it being set in jewelry or used for any kind of jewelry, wire wrapping, whatever, there's some little factors to be aware of so you can make it appealing to the person who might want to do that. So you
Yeah,
know.
thank you. And so for specifically the cab contest, you know, we were looking for something that has a back of girdle and a dome top. And so this is like a perfect example of like these things fit that bill. You know, kind of like number one, maybe you know, like hedgy, but then there's different ways of dealing with something that doesn't have that, like we were just talking about. You know, I think it was Bob that said something about electroplating. So that, you know, there's that way of approaching cabochons. There's the um wrapping you don't have to necessarily have like a standard cabochon for, but you know, for the cab contest, we're looking for these kinds of configurations so that uh in theory you've made something that can be set. And so basically that's the sort of the definition of the cabochon. Or do you want to define the cabochon really quick, Caleb?
It's a for like a traditional cabochon, it's typically defined as a stone with a flat back and a domed surface. And that's pretty much it. You know, so you know, having a bit of girdle there, yeah, that's mostly with the intention. Plus, it also helps with the integrity of your stone. Like that top left one, you knock that on something, it's probably gonna break. You know, so it's just part of like the whole package of it being a cabochon.
Yeah, and so Kurt brings up an interesting point here. Sometimes I prefer no girdle when wire wrapping, and so I'm sure that there's different preferences for the approach on whether or not, you know, it's going to be like a standard setting or if it's something that's going to be artistically created just for that stone. Like that stone upper first left, I would probably just prong set that. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
mess with a bezel at all. Like you definitely have to look at some other alternative for that. And you would be totally sketching out, depending on what kind of material that is, if you were going to take a chip off of it when you were trying to press those prongs too. And so
Right.
yeah, that's something to think about when you are creating in the cabochon, is what is the integrity of your stone, and does it have cleavage planes that might not get along with certain shapes even?
Yeah,
Right.
happens a
I've
lot.
definitely learned that with you know, making my pyramids. There's some stuff where it's just like, nah, nah. Mm-mm.
Not
It's like,
gonna
oh,
do
you want to make a little point? Oh yeah, let me show you how quickly I'm gonna
it.
explode in front of your eyes. Yeah,
Fibrous
don't
stones
try to make.
too sometimes struggle.
What did
Oh
you say?
yeah.
Fibrous stones can
Right,
also struggle. Like some charites I've had just keep crumbling and crumbling and crumbling. The strands of just keep falling off, and it's just like, what am I supposed
right.
to do here? And
Yeah.
that's where other things come into play, like backing and stabilizing and stuff like that can
Yeah.
help with that.
I made a dino bone pyramid thing. It was not a good idea.
Oh,
It's now so thin, and it's just this little thing that sits on my table, and I look at it like it's all it's good for. It's just, yeah. There's just some things that don't, like something with like a weird cellular structure does not do well when there's points on it. Like anywhere where it can fracture away from itself, it's going to. So yeah, you live and learn.
truly. And Val is saying feldspar comes to mind. 110 on that. Yeah, that's who was
Yeah.
in my head as well, since I deal with feldspar so much. And then also, labradorite.
Um,
Now that you're talking about that stuff, there are certain stones that you're looking for a directionality, and so not only does that matter when you cut it, when you're slabbing it from its rough, but also when you are going about doing the cabochon, like the labradorite doesn't want to be a tall dome.
it,
You'll lose your color, and
it also
so
doesn't be a triangle.
and perhaps not also that shape.
No, yeah,
Although
with
I've
the
got a bunch of
God.
triangles, actually, I
Well,
do.
right. I made one of the pyramidy triangle guys out of it. I made the whole necklace. It was one of my favorite things I've ever made. I was sending it to Kyle to give as a giveaway. And it freaking broke when I was just putting it in the box. Like it just snapped in half. And I'm like, "Thank you, you little punk." Like it's just, yeah. Yeah, frustrating.
Yeah, there's definitely certain stones where, if it's your first time, you might wanna, look up your plan of attack, just because it might be kind of on the specific side. Like, it looks like Kurt was just talking about having an issue with rhodochrosite on his life earlier, very brittle when stabilizing it, and gluing fingers to it. Oh my gosh.
Oh no. Been there.
Oh, he's got the sticky fingers on the bacon. I'm so sorry, man. Oh dear. Yeah.
Well,
I wish I could say that I haven't been there and done that, but like setting up some intarsia pieces, I've definitely like taken some skin off. Oh my gosh. Like, no, I'm sure there's no glue on my fingers. I'll just hold this together until it sets. Yeah, no, it's a bad
Star
idea.
Bond's the worst. Like the really liquid Star Bond. That
oh
stuff
yeah.
will
Right.
stick your fingers together in like half a second. It's so fast. It's
And
faster
it's
than
so
any
runny
super glue.
too. It's
Yeah, it
just like
just
runs everywhere.
when
I
it's
just
liquid, it
thought that
just
stuff.
seeps, and it's a disaster. It's
Ugh.
sketchy because
Oh.
it kind of goes. I think it'll heat up, so it can cause like a chemical reaction and burn you pretty badly. You have to be really
Oh,
careful.
that's insult and injury because you're
Yeah.
you're already like stuck to something and you're burning too. That's just like not cool at all. I had a bad day in the studio.
Yeah, I
Chemical
had
burn.
the
Oh,
first
geez.
time I worked with it, I understood like how to use it, and that was everything was fine. But I had grabbed like a paper towel to wipe up because it was so liquid it kind of went where I didn't want it to go. So I grabbed a crumpled up paper towel and started wiping it up, and I set it down, and the chemical reaction started making it like smolder and smoke and
Oh
burnt
my
all
god.
the paper towel. So
Oh,
No way.
load it,
yeah, don't do
because I
that.
just got some of that stuff. Okay, learning.
Yeah, it's some dangerous, and I know a lot of you guys out there in the chat have had those experiences too of the inadvertent gluing to specimens and whatnot. Yeah, everybody's raising their hand right now. Yeah, it's definitely a love-hate relationship, and you start kind of getting a jam down. Like I can remove a glove at least from my hand, even if I can't remove the glove from my rock.
That's a later
Very
problem.
Yeah. But I've learned to, wear certain precautionary, like safe habits. Yeah,
Mhm.
just when dealing with that stuff. But it shouldn't take the zeal away from you for trying these things. And so you know Jahik, thank you so much for coming on and discussing not only the cab contest, but also some of your approaches as far as you, getting into your cabs to begin with. And so, if we want to see more, we'll be watching. What is your new channel?
Freeform Lapidary. Should have a new video coming out here pretty quick, and I take you along in my rock hounding, lapidary, and some equipment stuff. Just have fun with it. I cut quite often, and I cut a lot of unique materials and try to make things special. So I'll bring you guys along for a lot of that.
Awesome. And so also those of you who are over on our Discord, we do have the occasional absolute delight of watching Jahik in the studio there live, and there's a lot to be learned from just watching. If you are just getting into cabbing, watch other people cab. You know, if it's Jahik, or if it's Lapidary Dave, or if it's Kyle, or any of the folks that go on and they show like how they are moving the rock around on the different wheels. And we have the studio lives where if you've got a flat lap, watch what Ma's doing. You know, watch what some of the get your eyes on these different techniques. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, including the lapidary one. And so watching these guys is actually really, really valuable to getting to know what you're doing. And then also with the live streams that we do that are the lapidary lives, or you know, the makers lives, you can ask questions in real time.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. ask us what we're doing and why we're doing it. You know, that's the best thing you do. Like when I first started, I didn't have anyone in person to teach me. I just started I got my tools and just started going to work and figuring it out. And I was watching YouTube videos to try to get to learn. And you put a comment on a 4-year-old video, probably not going to get a response to that. And so take advantage of the opportunities. If you can see someone live, ask a question, find out why, because it's invaluable. And a little tip can go a long way.
Yeah. Oh, it so can. It can be like the big aha moment, when somebody else is like, yeah, that's just what I do. And you're like, that is like the missing link for my entire evolution. So thank you. And so definitely there's a lot of whys hanging out. And thank you, Ma, for coming. And congratulations on winning the January first Everest inaugural cab contest that we have over on the Discord. And yeah, thank you. And so do you have any parting words for the folks out there?
I'd say that if you have an idea, try it. The worst thing that happens is it doesn't work. It's like, it can be intimidating to try something new, but no one's there. It's just you. Go ahead and try it. What's the worst thing that happens? And you might find out that you're great at it, or you might find out you don't like it, and then you won't waste any more time on it. But just go ahead and try. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you're not part of the Discord, then go ahead and join up. Hopefully, maybe Allison can drop that link one more time. We have the contest going on. We have occasional live streams over there. There's always a show and tell and like just general banter. There's specialized channels like the contest itself, or lapidary or silversmithing, where you can get some other help or eyes on your projects in real time, which is really, really cool. There's almost always somebody on there. Like if you post something up, almost always there's somebody, and like they'll be, giving you a thumbs up or asking you a question about it. And so it's a nice interactive platform where you can get some eyes on your rock projects if you just want eyes, or if you want some help, whatever. And so thank you, Allison, for popping up that link, and thank you, Ma and Jahik, for coming on to the live tonight. We'll be looking forward to seeing more of the stuff for the next contest.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming. And what we're going to do now, I saw that Ben was actually here in the chat, and the unboxing really should happen. There's still some stuff in that box, and I think that Ma and Jahik and all y'all that are probably still in the chat, Ken and Jennifer and Kurt and Allison and Val and Tomcat, Josh and Eric the cat and Lisa and all y'all that are like spinning on down the chat, probably want to see what's going on here. Again, thanks so much for everything that Jahik and Mud do over on the Discord. And it's always awesome to have you guys on as guests. I'm going to switch us over to this here. There's some cabs that I made. I think the pixels are going to settle here for a second. Let me go ahead and do this little thing here. That actually was the charcuterie, or however you want to say that fancy word for sliced meats. There's our board that was on our opening montage of some of the cabs that I've just been kind of spilling forth lately after getting my cab machine. I can't stop. You guys, I have a problem. We might need a group session here where we talk Karen off of the cab machine, but it's usually quite late when I'm done. Sonia, welcome into the chat. Very good to see you. And I just want to point out that some of these are this flint that first Melissa sent me to cut and share with her and do some cabin. And then Ben was so generous to offer to send me a box of my own stuff. And because I was just head over heels in love with this stuff. It's very hard. This is Ohio flint, and it is a bit washed out because of the lighting that I have in here. The pinks are pinker and the blues are bluer. But you can see there's a druzy vug in this. It's so fancy. This stuff just, it's beautiful, and it keeps on giving. It just, as you are cabbing into it, it is so intricate. And so it looks really pretty from afar, but then the closer and closer and closer you get, you keep on getting rewarded by these details where you're like, no way. I'm looking through my loop going like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. And so, yeah, Ben did hook me up with a box. And so let's get into some of the rest of the materials that we have here in Ben's box. Shall we? Fancy flint. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And so let me get caught up here. I'm often amused by the fine line between flint and jasper. Yeah, you guys could probably school me on that. I have absolutely no idea. Good night, Kurt. And I think I saw Ken was leaving earlier too. Good night, Ken. And whoa is right, Allison? That stuff is insanity. And yes, you need some of the Ohio flint too. I couldn't believe it. Kurt, do you remember? Oh, you guys help me out again. Was it head full of rocks, box of rocks? You guys, who was that guest that we had on the podcast that came on? She's a geologist. She's awesome. I love her. And she has a channel, and she also brought on that Ohio flint. And I was like, what is that creature? And I need that in my life. Do you guys remember, even if Kyle is still hanging around, maybe he also remembers, or y'all probably watched the Rockhound podcast. You guys might remember also Rocks for Brains. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Now, is it Rocks for Brains or Rock and Road? That's who it is, isn't it? Rocks for Brains is Nira, right? And we love her so much too. But yeah, I think it's Rock and Road. And yeah, I think that's who it was. And she had the most insane stuff. And Karen's getting us. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've always been in a free-form space. Like, definitely. Thank you so much for that. But yeah, if you look at, I think that there's an archive on my website, and if you look back into my past, like I'm pretty formless. To say the least. But thank you guys. It's good. It's good. Okay, so I had headed off until I saw that flint. Okay, so yeah, let's get to this flint already. And so actually, what I'll do, let's do this thing. Gonna need a link to that episode. Yeah, right. Melissa, that's not a bad idea. I will either link it in the comments after this live is over, or even if somebody who is available right now that might know Rockhound Podcast might be able to go fetch that. But yeah, she had some of this ridiculousness, and I was like, I just need that in my life. And it's been up until now. That had to have been at least a year ago, if not like 2 or 3. And so look at this stuff, you guys. What is even going on here? And what's really, really interesting, which you will see on the video that I'm going to release later on for the members tonight. I was just editing it, and I was trying to get it done for you guys for beforehand so I could just announce it, but I have to put some final touches on it. But it's like some different slabs, and then it goes through the quick kind of cabbing pictures or video to a finished piece. And so it's like just all instant gratification. You get to see, oh, it looked like this and now it's a cab. And so this stuff, look at what is going on. How does it do that? How does it do that? Thanks for narrowing it down. Yeah, right. I am so helpful that way. Let's see. I think I can. Nope. I wanted to do a better, but I think I have an even better one. I haven't done this for a second. And you can tumble the leftover bits, is what Ryan is saying, which absolutely. They're so amazing though. As you're going through the layers, it presents different stuff. And I don't know if you guys remember last week I showed you I think we decided it was like a coyote chasing a bunny or a piglet or something like that. I mean, it's literally picture stone also. And so thank you, Ben, the man. Hey, Triple, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming. And I get it. Everybody's got stuff that you got to do. You're going to miss the flint. Don't miss the flint. Okay, here's another one coming out. And oh my gosh. Okay, shoes. I should have had some water ready. Let's see. Oh, that's coffee. I have coffee and my drink, which I'm not gonna put on this. Oh, hey, you guys, look at the sores that I meant it when I said like I was cabbing last night until I started making sores on myself. And I was like, okay, it's 1 o'clock. You need to stop. You're being sloppy. But look at this amazing material with like a super cool bug that would be a candidate for some live edgeness. You can see there's just candy in there. And oh yeah, Benjamin, thank you so much. Leftovers. Oh gosh, I'm sure. Okay, Ma needs water. I think I have actually, let me hold on just a second. Okay, this is soapy water, but water nonetheless, and it was right there. So let's have a yeah, no worries about saw marks. You know what? When you polish a cab, those go away. So I don't care. I like, my saws my sawings into slablets aren't like the most beautiful things either. I just expect that people are going to do something with it, you know, or polish them out if they're just looking for a specimen. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm in the way. I have to hold it over here and I'll take Ryan's comment down so that's not in the way also. Oh my gosh. Calm down. There is a way for me to get in the corner. I am trying to figure out how that is. No, oh, it's because we're both a guest. That's why. Darn it. I think maybe can I do that? No, I can't do that either. Okay. I'll work on it, guys. But yeah, look at this. We've got like green and red and stripes and blotches and platelets and yellow and gold and peach and pink and blue and druzy and clear stuff and opaque stuff. This stuff has it all. This stuff literally has it all. And what's fun about cabbing this is that you might have a slab and you see some stuff, but as you're going down into the material, it's changing. And it's just unreal. I like this cab that I did. This is the first cab that I did of the Flint, and it did not look like this when I started the cab. It was a totally different creature, and as I was like going down, 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 it revealed secrets, like this secret quartzy pool and subterranean, like you know, just beautiful unrealness. See, I'm speechless because the stuff is so pretty. And so that's why I can't stop. I absolutely cannot stop when I have this stuff on the wheels. I want to keep on cabbing like until the break of dawn. Look at that. Come on. Oh my gosh. Oh, and Eric the cat. I like this. Although you got to come up with the punchline. A Flint, a Chert, and a Jasper walked into the bar. And Allison wants to know, is the bartender an agate? You know, Ma, if you guys do your cool idea, then we'd need like cool jokes to go along with it too. You know, all the servers would have to know all the cool jokes. Oh my gosh, look at that. Ma definitely wants it. Oh my gosh. Don't stop. Oh, steals the Flint. Oh, I'm surprised you just wouldn't stay and cab some up while you were here. I mean, if you're gonna break in or sneak in, you might as well just hang out. There's a bed down there. You know, you can just, it's the guest room, actually, quote unquote, air quotes on guest room. Like I get a little agitated when we have guests and I can't get in there because look at how like that is the sexiest barcode I've ever seen. That stuff is so insane. Okay, putting that away. Okay, we do seem to have some quips going on back and forth. Let's make that a little bit wet because it looks like some of this stripy stuff it's got talent that, you know, is a little bit more subdued. Like look at the coloring that is going through the stripiness. So you've got like sort of these green and yellow and dark stripes, but there's like tones of pink going through it. And as I've dug along in the polishing process, I found some really, really interesting, just unexpected ombres of that sort of thing. Let me so this is another little cab that I did actually off of a trim instead of tumbling. I'm just like, there's no waste with me. I'm always just cabbing everything because it could be an earring stone or something that goes into a bracelet or something like that. Look at these, the intricate lines and what the colors are doing through them. It just makes you wonder geologically what in the world was going on. Like that little half circle with the yellow and pink in it, and then blue and green and teal and yellow coming down here. I mean, it's just stupid nice. Like nothing is extra. It's all usable to me anyway. Moves into Karen's house. Yeah, that's what I figured. We probably have the room. And yes, you need to work your slabs. It's some pretty amazing stuff. Um, and it's just awesome sauce to like the crazy degree. And I thought I had already gotten into the good stuff. You guys, I'm supposed to be finishing the editing on your quickie little fun video over at the members only side of the channel. And you know what I'm probably going to be trying to do instead is playing with this stuff, because now it's out of the bag or out of the box. I've released it. Oh yeah, Julie, this is the Ohio Flint, and I got that wet. I need to get this whole thing wet. We've got stripies, and we've got globtobularity that is just insanity. And I actually cut these two slabs, and you guys are going to see this as soon as I show. I cut these two. Look at the colors on that. It's just insane. That's not even allowed. What is even that's so spastic and funky and groovy. So I cut two slabs, and they were a mirror of each other, and it was just the wings of a moth or something. And you guys could probably see how that could happen looking at this. And they were actually more subdued colors, like kind of more of the colors down there, and there was like little spots like that one there, and it looked exactly like moth wings. I was like, no way. I definitely need to do some matching cabs and maybe make a few moths or butterflies, because some jewelry pieces that complete that vision, because this stuff really screams it. And you can see we've got just the beautiful lines here with all that ombre going into different colors, and then here's the other end of that. So that's like so much meat of craziness that you guys are gonna see. I will bring you along on this Flint expedition, but it's unreal. It's unreal stuff. Ben, you're so lucky. Yeah, banger. Stupid nice. It's phenomenal. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. And so I'm going to have to do some research on its geology, and then we'll be having a treat of a video about it coming up soon. Can't have my hand on too much of it now to not do like the full on deep dive. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at this. And one of the things that I love about this stuff is that there's a healthy amount of silicates in it that are still quartzy. And I guess Ben, you were saying something about that not being the best. If it will fit on a toothpick dop, Karen will cap it. It's true. I've got some skewer dops that are pretty darn small, and they make great earring stones, and so I want to celebrate all of the materials. Look at that. Look at that. Look at those the yellow jelly beans that are like at the middle of the screen right now that are hanging out in the quartz pocket. What even? I mean, stripes and big globby shapes and crystals and pools of silicates. These colors that are so unusual together, like the oranges and the yellows and the pinks and salmons all blending with these greens. Gah! I mean, and so of course, I'm thinking like gem sidecars, like how good would this look with some peridot tourmaline and maybe some like garnet, the orange garnet, like unreal. Oh my gosh. I like look at how fat that is too. There's gonna be some slab-a-rama going on. So interesting. I swear if I lived anywhere near where this came from, I would be hopeless. I I would just be always, you know, a few inches off of the ground pretty much. That's so, so, so cool. Very, very wonderful. So this is the mid-grade stuff, you guys. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Benjamin looks like he's asking a question here. Did you do anything with that clear chalcedony and gray banded brecciated slablet? And I'm trying to think of the clear chalcedony and gray banded slablet. Was that in the same box? Let me, was it this here? Was it an end spot? Was it one of the end pieces? Because this one was like an end piece that I was like, oh, hello. If you're not seeing it, if it's in this box and you're not seeing it yet, then that means that I already got to it. And I probably already made a cab or two. Like I started slicing. And so, nope, that's not it. Huh. Was it at the top of the box? Clear chalcedony and gray banded brecciated slablet. Because I don't see anything that resembles that yet. See, because this is the other like that cab that I just showed came from this guy. And there's this one that I haven't, I opened it, but I haven't gotten into this. Is this the brecciated one? This thing is insane. I was going to get into it last night and I was like, no, you need to plan a little bit more. Is this the one you're talking about? This has got to be the one you're talking about. This is insane. This is so insane. Yes. Oh my gosh. I stopped myself. I was about to like just start chewing on this and I was like, no, you need more plan. You be good. You don't just charge at this one without making a plan. Because look at that druzy center. Like that'll be fun to frame. There's probably like 3 cabs here and I have to plan. Because yeah. Isn't that nuts, you guys? I love your reaction. Okay, so you're making me feel better because I'm like, am I sitting in this room alone in the middle of the night just thinking like this is the most amazing stuff ever and I'm, like lacking enough oxygen or something? So, yeah, this stuff, it is bonkers. It's seriously, oh my gosh. And so, yeah, this I'll get to, but I am, like I said, you guys get to see some of the preview, because I have been doing a certain amount of documentation of even chewing on the material that I've chewed on so far. I think you've seen the cabs. This is also some of that material. And so this is from another little slablet that he sent. This is the other, like it was this guy. And this is the other part of it. And that one was about this size. And there's a little bit of loss because there's some pitting and there's some areas that are a little softer than other areas, but then it's mostly really hard. Forgive my fingernails, you guys. I've been on the cab machine and that's my excuse. But yeah. It's so good. It's so good. And I'm still seeing a bunch of I have to share some of the ones. Oh, yes, please. Jahik, if you've got some that you have done, definitely share those in the Discord. Here's some little babies. But yeah, since I've documented most of it, there will be a long form video that I'll be working on. But the short form video of working with this stuff, plus some of the stuff from Brian and Julie, Arizona Rockhound Expeditions, that will be going up in the member side tonight. And it's just like a fun little video that is instant gratification of what it looked like before and what it looks like after, which I always revel in watching those. So I thought it would be a nice thing to make something like that because, you know, like just a few minutes of just watching like rock after rock just get like quickly processed is just so enjoyable to me. So I thought maybe I would treat you guys. And no, Caleb, not true at all. I'm not even putting that up. But thank you guys. Yeah, it's like it keeps this box is almost empty, but it does keep on going. It's just been an amazing box. Here's some more of the breccia with some of the either chalcedony or the quartz and both for that matter. Let me get this wet. I don't mean to be trying to speed through too much, but I've held you guys up for 2 hours already. And I know that you guys have studios that you need to get into of your own. I would hate to like, you know, keep you up too late or anything like that with this beautiful material. And so, yeah, so like I have to do this because I did show this before, but look at how on fire these colors are. Oh my gosh. Even this little nubbin, that'll be a couple of cabs, like Ryan was saying, you know, nothing's safe with me. I'll cab up like the teeny weenies, like, you know, all of that like little craziness right there. How dear is that for like something in an earring or something? So yep, nothing's safe. Nothing is safe. What was I doing? Oh, there's another one in here. And you were going to bed a half an hour ago. I'm sorry. Saturday can wait. I love it. Thank you, Eric. That's hilarious. Oh, yeah, Ryan, I was wondering about this. And Cold Fingers got me out of mine after 2 cabs. I'm so sorry. Shoot. Oh, wow. Look at the contrast in this one. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine picking this stuff off of the ground, you guys? Seriously, look at that. Will you look at that? Just look at that. That is going to be so much fun to cut and plan. Look at that wonderful, fun color and contrast. And so yeah, that's one of the things I really love about this stuff is that there's this marbling, but even in the regular lines there's, you know, there's like orbiculars and stuff like that. And that one even came with a dog hair that I believe was one of my dog hairs. I think it came out of the water. They're bringing on, says Lisa. Okay, good. And Ryan needs, yeah, like a water heater and a heater and another heater, like more. Yeah, this stuff really is amazing. Just a few more minutes, puppies. Yeah, so Bob can hear. I believe that is a wahi. He's the one that kind of loses it first and just wants his mom. They've been fed. They have everything that they need. So don't get taken in by the pathetic cries. Oh my gosh, look at that. The structure. And then like see how that intervened, that white, this patch here just intervened on this stuff. And then there's that marbling. And oh my gosh, how did you even happen? What tumult and craziness was going on in your world to make that be what you are? And this stuff is really inspiring some ideas for some different stuff, you guys. When we were talking about inspiration for cabs, different solution finding. Like, one of the cool things about these contests is that it causes you to need to find a solution for something that might be a challenge for you, right? And these are like just tickling some spots in my brain that, like, oh my gosh, I want to try some things that I've never done before with them. Let's see. When Ben was first sharing this stuff, I was like, man, Ben's blade is doing a number on these slabs leaving streaks. Yeah, it's not. It's that they are that way. They're naturally that way. It's amazing. Wind chill on cabbing machine is a killer. Oh my gosh, how cold is it, Ryan? It's got to be super cold where you are. Picasso is rolling over in his grave, right? Oh, that, or else he is just so enjoying that rocks are doing this. I always think of when I think of Picasso, I think of his father, who was also an artist. And when Picasso started painting seriously, his father broke all of his own brushes that he like was so outdone by his son that he decided he just wouldn't he wouldn't paint anymore. Um yeah, so Picasso might be enjoying this. I love the contrast, and like there's a white circle with something going on and a dark one there. Like, this has been the joy with this particular material, just looking at the different play going on within each piece. And even when something's going away as I'm grinding down to get to the cabochon, something else emerges that's equally as interesting. And so I think that another thing about cab making, since we were talking about that as the big subject tonight, is that you got to hold on loosely to both the shape of your form, but also what you think is there as far as a design goes, because as you go down a layer to get to the shape and then the polishing, you might lose it, but it might be replaced by something even better. So I am just blown away, so blown away with this stuff. I think that might be it. Yep, very nicely well packaged. Like the ones on the top, there was like bubble wrap involved. It was extremely nice. And so the very last thing, so like I have some of the mom stones here. Like I showed you this guy that belongs to this guy. That one I did last night. That was super fun. Just getting that druzy pocket, being the superstar there, but like Picasso-y, like some neat contrast, some weird shapes. I am loving this so much. And then, of course, the crazy, the Arizona Rockhound expedition crazy Jasper, and what that ends up being like, doesn't even like it doesn't even the slabs don't give it enough credit, even when wet. Like, you end up with just amazingness. And then from this same, I actually have this guy here, and I just wanted to show you guys something quickly, and then we'll be done. So again, on one of these, you can see the exact ribbing that was, the ribbons of the color that this next slab got into. Oh my gosh, like lots of dog hair. Sorry, guys, that's what happens here. So here's this guy. And I have started the process of getting it set. And so I just wanted to show, you've got your girdle and you've got your dome top for your cabochon. And that's what jewelers need so that they can put it into a bezel. And here's a bezel. And so the jeweler will wrap the piece into a bezel. And I usually, like, you can see the background through a little space there. Oftentimes, when you do your final solder onto the sheet, there'll be a bead that goes along the bottom side, and it'll take up just a little bit of space. And so if it's a super tight bezel when it's loose or when it's not adhered to a backing yet, then it might not fit your stone when you're done. And so then you've got a piece of metal that you're going to solder that onto, and that's why we have the cabs set up the way that we do, a flat bottom and a girdle, so that you can bezel set, and you make your bezel just tall enough so that it peaks over the edge of the bezel or the stone. And then with special little tools, you work that around and you enclose that stone into your setting without ruining the stone. And so if anybody in the future ever wanted to have that stone away from that piece of jewelry, all they'd have to do is exhume it from the bezel. If the piece of jewelry fails or anything like that, your stone is still, 100% archival, if you will. And so back to what you guys are saying. Thank you so much. The TARDIS is finally empty. I know, that was such the TARDIS box, Ma. I can't even believe it. It was so over the top generous. Thank you so much, Ben. I really, really appreciate all of that incredible material, and I can't wait to bring you guys along on the polishing that we're going to be doing here. And the AZRE material is amazing as well. I love working with it. I can't choose a favorite, honestly. And so, I have a lot of that to go yet. This is more of the flint. And I wanted to show off that I actually pulled a cab from some of the like B grade Oregon fire opal. That's a slablet from some fire opal, and it was not facetable, but we have some that is very, very like dendrite interesting, cabable interesting. And this one, actually, I don't get backlighting here, but absolutely luminous because it's the Arizona, or rather the Oregon fire opal. So just incredible stuff. That's going to be super fun to do some cabs, which hadn't really occurred to me because I was more into doing the faceting with it. We've got some pretty stuff from Graveyard Point. Some of the stuff that is a little on the blonde side, not so much on the Regency Red side. This is from the Regency Red claim, though. And so, but Steve and I went and did some mining, and we do have some red as well. So there's that. And this is what I've been up to when I haven't been making videos for you guys. And so sorry about that, but oh, and then in the opening montage last week, oops. Let's see, is that still? Nope, that's off. So we'll my phone battery just bit it. And so we are almost done, guys. Take that down. I did show you in the opening montage. Here's some Richardson's Rock Ranch Thunder Egg. And I don't understand why more people don't polish the Thunder Egg cores. That material is so beautiful. And oh man, I'm missing some stuff in the chat. I'll revisit that here in a second. I love this stuff. And so here is the cabochon that was in the opening montage that was from the other side of, you know, the adjacent slice to the one that I just showed you, and it's not picking up on the color at all. It's such neat color, you guys. And so anyways, super crazy cabochon making full, like the color's better back here. It's getting, I guess it's getting well backlit actually from the other way. But yeah, some blues. It's from the blue bed. And so there's like some blues, but there's also a lot of red and pink on the blue bed. And so that was just fun. Okay. So Eric is going to sleep. Good. Thank you. And the marquee. I love that shape so much. I'm rock teasing you guys. Absolutely. We all rock tease each other. That's what we want from each other, right? And it's all good. Thank you so much, Blue Boulders. Mr. Turtle, that's hilarious. Love the Richardson's Thunder Eggs, right? Wait, no, not that one. Yeah, I like, oh man, I wish we could still mine there. That was one that I mined from the blue bed, but I need to just go back and buy a bucket of just Thunder Eggs and hang out there for a little bit and just soak in thunder eggy goodness because the place is just so darn cool. Oh yeah. Wish Julie and Brian were over on the Discord. Hint hint. Yeah, you guys need to be over there. That would be awesome. Turtle fluffing. Oh my gosh, you guys are hilarious. Yes, and Turtle is the master of dad jokes for sure. And yeah, there's the Discord link. That invite is good for, I think it's like 48 hours. So go ahead and hit that and join our Discord where we have this kind of fun all week long. And of course, all through the weekend, we've got a bunch of stuff going on this weekend. I did want to mention also that there were some really cool videos that went by this week. We had Kyle was working on an obsidian fix. And of course, we got to see the live that Julie and Brian did on Wednesday, but also they treated us to a couple of lives today, which was very unexpected. Alice and Prairie Girl Rocks always does such a great job on Wednesdays. We learned what a feature was. And then also Jeff entertains us in the evening on Wednesdays as well. Femme Mechanique is over in Tucson, and she has been loading us up with eyefuls of long videos of her shopping in Tucson. Absolutely. If you can't go to Tucson, it is wonderful to at least vicariously experience it through Femme Mechanique. And I wanted to get one of those welding, like the electric TIG welder that she got. Oh, I'm so jealous. And what? Mr. Turtle Montana. Oh my gosh. What? Okay, gotta. You're going to need new diamond blades after cutting off your flint. That stuff is harder than a teenager on prom. Oh my gosh. Oh. Was that aggressive bell ringing in FMA? Oh, thank you so much, Turtle. Actually, you're correct, sir. Thank you so much. Oh, the flint is so hard, you guys. It is hard to cut, but it's so worth it that it kind of like slips my mind that it is. Like Montana agate is worth it. This flint is worth it, but my diamond blades do not love it. Thank you so much, Turtle. Because I think I will have to be replacing my saw blade soon. Oh, I really appreciate you. Thank you. I hope that you're having a good time on your travels. I know that you're out and about, and thank you for bringing us along with your videos. That was really sweet of you. And of course, you have to add the dad joke in there as well. Oh my gosh. Oh, and no live for Bob. Bob is going to be picking up feed. You feed that baby goat of mine, okay? Oh gosh, I love those things so much. Yeah, much appreciated. We'll miss you, Bob. And so this coming, you're right, I totally tangented. I was on the what's going to happen this weekend stuff. The shouts out for everybody who had great lives this week. So appreciate hanging out on your lives, guys, and your premieres. Like, premieres are really important too. I hope to have one here maybe by Sunday. We'll see. But at least you guys get a members only one for sure. But in addition to that, this weekend, of course, we have, oh, and I forgot to mention, Theo and Alexis had a killer live sale. That was so much fun. Okay. Kyle is going live this weekend with his sale. Anybody who's going live right now, if you want to put up a link, or if you'd like to ask one of the moderators to put up a link, that would be cool. I would really, really like it. That brought out the big bells. Yeah. I need to make a big gong like to hang right behind me and just gong. That would be awesome. Big auction tomorrow for Blind Squirrel Rocks. Good luck with that. I hope that you get are you going for some more fluorite? Very, very cool. And oh yeah, Benjamin actually got to go shopping, went to the big rock shop there in Ohio. Thank you for bringing us along for that. But all y'all that are doing stuff this weekend, of course, we have the Sunday live that we always love to do, hang out with Brian and Julie, and we'll definitely see y'all there. And who knows who else is going live throughout that period of time. I bet you Dave and ER will probably be live from the Tucson Gem Show. Watch out for some of the fun stuff that's going on from over there. It's always a super crazy fun time. If it's not fun and rock filled for you, it's at the very least very crazy for sure. Lived there for a decade and a half with all that madness. And so, oh, and Ma is like, thank you, Ma, for coming on tonight. Thank you, Jahik, for coming on tonight. And this is his new channel. He's got a video up there right now, and I know that he's getting ready to drop a new video very soon. All right, dude, you need to do a premiere. Do a premiere. He's talking about just dropping it. You guys like vote. Everybody, you guys like premieres, right? Okay, so I will see you guys at the Discord and at everybody's premieres and lives all weekend long. And on the member side of the channel, keep an eye out for the video of just the eye candy. It's stuff that we didn't get a chance to look at tonight that we'll have more of a look at. Thank you guys, all of you that came to hang out in the chat and hanging out, lurking. We love you all. Really, really appreciate all of your support and hanging out and watching. And if you feel like hitting the like or leaving a comment or doing any of that stuff, it does help the channel out, and those things are free to do. And Steinkerns to you and your health and your rocks. Hopefully your butt is cactus needle free and your eyes are fixed with a bunch of rocks in them, and that you have plenty of time throughout the weekend to play with all of your wonderful rocks. And with that, I will leave you with the credits. Cheers and Steinkerns. Love you guys, all y'all. Be alive, everybody. And we can't hear me.
Yeah.
Let's start over again. Are you here? Am I here? And we can't hear me. Let's start over again.